So today we have very important people with us. We have Jessica Stewart, Loyita, Adkins, and Stormie Miles. And they're gonna start a session with Weaving Together Cultural Practices to Promote Health and Well-Being. So let me start to introducing Stormie Miles. She's right there. Stormie Miles is a citizen of the Chickahominy Indian tribe in Charles City, Virginia, and currently serves as the tribe's Elder Service Coordinator. She is a graduate of Lapanaco, thank you, Community College, where she received certification in nursing. She is married and has one daughter and two sons. Her hobbies include being in her flower beds and spending time with her family. Her interests include the elderly, cultural preservation, the health and well-being of the Chickahominy people, and healthy eating. Welcome, Stormie. Next, we have Loyita Adkins. Loyita is a citizen of the Chickahominy tribe in Charles City County, Virginia also. In addition to citizenship, she is also employed by the tribes and holds the position of Wellness Project Director. At the present time, she is overseeing the tribal practice for wellness in the Indian Country Grant, also referred to as TPWIC, which is funded through the CDC. And finally, Jessica Stewart. Jessica Stewart is also a citizen of the Chickahominy Indian tribe. She serves as an assistant project director for the ANA Social and Economic Strategy Grant and provides support to the TPWIC grant too. Thank you so much, Jessica, Loyita, and Stormie to be being here.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know about y'all, but it's so awkward to talk about. You like introduce yourself. But thank y'all for being here. So we're going to present today on the tribal practice for wellness in Indian country, and we call it TPWIC, so you'll hear us refer to it as that going forward. And this isn't what we're going to present on today, but something new for us is getting involved in our language and trying to integrate that within different programs. So when we wrote this grant, we thought, what better way to give just one word that says what this grant is really going to be about. And that word in Algonquin is Wamatawa, and that means it is well. And the goal of this grant is for the next 5 years to see our community become healthier, and so for that, it is well. Next slide. Yeah, we had to put this together because they asked us to put this together. There are 6 bullet points that we hope we're going to touch. It may not last an hour, but we're going to get to all the high points of this. We hope that from what we give you today, this will inspire you, your tribe, whether it's to pursue this grant opportunity when it's available again, or to just reach out to us and maybe pick out a few pieces that you can do within your community. So we'll go through. Jesse, Stormie, and I will interchange out doing different topics. And my part is super boring, so y'all don't have to laugh, anything like that. Stormie, she has the best part. Mine's boring. So y'all just wake up when she gets up here. So this is the topics we're going to talk about today. Next slide. So what is the mission of TPWIC? TPWIC supports tribal practices and cultural traditions. What that does for us is that helps to build resiliency, strengthen the community, and also gives us that cultural connection for improved physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And it also gives us just a better overall well-being within the American Indian and American Native populations. I put this map in here because this gives you a good visual. We are from Virginia, which is number 16 over here. There's not many on the East Coast that actually have applied to this for you. So if you're here from the East Coast, hopefully the next time this map is populated, we'll see more bubbles on the East Coast. There were 33 grantees this round. And again, this is a very small population that takes advantage of this grant. But it was really important for us to be one of these numbers because the pandemic was a time where it separated us all. And we became scared to go out. And so this grant has brought us back together culturally and socially. And it's just been such a blessing for us. So why Tiplet? I went over that just a little bit. But the AI and AN communities have many strengths and resiliency based on tribal, cultural, and traditional ways. But the AI and AN culture and traditions have been severely disrupted due to colonialism, loss of land, and policies such as assimilation, relocation, and tribal termination. On top of what we went through with the pandemic. So this is restored in historical traumas, as well as health, social, and economic inequities, which have put AN populations at higher risk of chronic disease. This grant is helping us as a community get healthier. We have different aspects of it that actually come together, and we get to weigh in, and for that reason, we have to remind ourselves all the time. Sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, there's only 5 people that showed up for this workshop. But this grant is for 5 years. They don't expect overnight successes. And so we have to give ourselves a little grace and not expect those victories right away. We are trying to get our community's feet wet and wanting to get healthy because we like to celebrate everything. We gather together for sadness when there's a death, happiness when there's weddings, when there's births, and it all surrounds with food, and we're all sitting down. So this is getting us up, getting us moving, and it can do this for you too. So why did the Chickahominy Indian tribe decide to pursue this funding opportunity? And we can go to the next slide for that one. There are different reasons, and we had little factual data to go off of, but just what we were hearing from the community, these are some of the things that we knew were issues. So this was to address public health problems. We also knew that we needed healthier nutrition options. We're in a small community where the only thing we have are little convenience stores that sell fried chicken, potato wedges that are fried. There's nothing healthy at these convenience stores. We have to go 15 to 20 minutes to get to a grocery store that's going to give you some of the healthier options. So for that reason, we needed some healthier options. And it was up to us using this funding to bring it to the community to be able to give it to our people and make it a little bit more convenient. This was also a way for us to bring in new ways of incorporating physical activity while also weaving in again some of our cultural practices. So we knew if we just told our citizens to come out and do some exercises with us, we probably wouldn't get a whole lot of people. So we said, what if we ask you to come out and learn our traditional dances? And what if we were going to teach you these, or if you know them, you can teach them to us? And so this was a way for us to get them active, doing something a little bit more fun, and not so, no one wants to come out and do jumping jacks with us. So we gave them pedometers, and these pedometers tracked their calories burned and the steps that they've taken. And so they were actually surprised just doing one of our traditional dances, how many calories they had burned and how many steps they took. It was, I don't know, a 30-minute period. Stormie will talk more about that, but they were just so much surprised at how much activity they got in, not even realize what they were doing. So then the need to incorporate these social and cultural practices, we were trying to find a way to get us back into gathering safely. So we have little workshops, and Stormie will go over what those are. But the feedback that we're getting so far is that people like that we're bringing back the socialization. We're doing this in little increments, bringing people together. We normally have 15 to 20 people during the workshops, but it helps us to gather, it helps us to socialize, it helps us to, just have that safe space that we all have something in common that we're trying to achieve during that time. So I'm going to move on and let Jessie talk, because the next portion is how to engage your tribe. And how to engage our tribe was important because every tribe is different. While all tribes have very unique aspects and then also a lot of similarities, it's really important to understand your own tribe, your history of your tribe, and then also maybe where your tribe is going to be able to know if this grant is right for you. So Jessie's going to give you a little bit of information on our tribe's history and who we are, which will help you understand us a little bit better. Next slide.
So, as Stormie said in her bio, that she's very passionate about the elderly in our community and getting healthy. I'm very passionate about the history of our tribe. It's very important that, as Loyita said, that we understand where we've come from so we can know where we're going. And so that's something that's very important to me, as well as the youth. So what I'd like to start off with is what our name means, the Chickahominy. The Chickahominy means people of the coarse pounded corn. So I know, like, on the different marketing materials you have for USET, you see our tribal seal, and so corn is a big part of that. And what's very unique about our tribe is that, we are on the East Coast, and so we are in Virginia. I'm sure you've heard of Jamestown. It's something that's very near and dear to our heart, that we are, essentially the birthplace of, where this all started. But we are Algonquin speaking people, and we come from a very matrilineal society. And that's something that I'm very proud of, being a woman in our tribe, that I know what I can do with my family and the leadership skills that I can provide will be passed down to the next 7 generations. So the Chickahominy, we are very close-knit, and we've always been close-knit, and we consider ourselves a very strong people. With that being said, prior to the 1600s, when colonization first started to come over, it was very important that we are known as being sustainable. We were independent. We were never part of the Powhatan chiefdom. We always formed an alliance, but we had the warriors that we needed to maintain ourselves. So it's very important that we let people know that we were independent from the beginning. And so another part that's very unique to us is because of our relationship with the English colonists, that we were entered into treaties with the King of England. And so it's really interesting when you use the word treaty, and what does that actually mean? It can mean a lot of things now. To me, it means broken promises, but the treaty with the King of England at the time was a way to keep us independent and to sustain our way of life with the invaders that were there. So a big treaty that we talk about is the Treaty of 1614. And this is where we had to come to an agreement where, okay, you need to survive with food. And we are the people of the coarse pounded corn, so we're going to provide the corn. However, you need to survive in our area as well, and we need to keep our warriors strong. So it was a good exchange at the time that we provided corn and gave them a certain amount of warriors so we can continue our traditional form of government, which we still do today. Another Algonquin word that we use is the Mungai, which means great men. We do have a tribal council right now that's made up of 12 men and women, but we like to refer to them as also the Mungai for our tribal government. We do have a chief and 2 assistant chiefs, Stephen Adkins, Wayne Adkins, and Reggie Stewart. And so I'm proud to say that we still have this traditional form of government. The next treaty that was very important to us was the Treaty of 1644. And this is what gave us on this map our villages, and where they, not reservations, because that's from the US government. We were never a reservated tribe, but we had our certain areas of where we could live and where the English colonists could live. And so the Treaty of 1644 is something that we still, in our tribal mindset, that's where our land has come from. And so because of that, there was some movement around. I'm very proud to say that this village right here, Manana Hut, is one that we just acquired here recently with federal recognition. It's over 900 acres that's on our river, the Chickahominy River, that we were able to kind of get back here present day. So we're really proud of that. And because of these treaties and moving around, there was a lot of separation, but we came back together and we had a formal tribal reorganization in 1901. So that's when our official documented roles began, and that they were very particular about keeping those notes and minutes and things like that from meetings in 1901. So that was very important to us, and I do apologize for these two coming out of chronological order, but what's very unique, unfortunately, to the Chickahominy Indian tribe and within the Commonwealth of Virginia is the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, which in itself created paper genocide, not only for our tribe, but for the other tribes in Virginia. So what happened was the registrar for the Commonwealth of Virginia took it upon himself that you were either white or colored in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So birth certificates were either white or colored, marriage certificates, white or colored, death certificates, white or colored. So essentially eradicating the American Indian from our paper documents. And so that was very hard. And, you know, 1924 seems like a long time ago, but when you think of it in terms of generations, it wasn't that long ago, because I am a first generation college student. Both of my, I'm very fortunate. I'm 37 years old and I have 3 of my grandparents still living. And to hear the stories of how they had to go out of state to get married to be recognized as Native American, how they had to go to school in Oklahoma because there were no schools for Native Americans in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But the Chickahominy people are very resilient. Like I said, we're very independent, and we had those characteristics of being sustainable back when the colonists were here. So we took it upon ourselves in 1951 to found our own Indian school that was completely funded by the Chickahominy people. Teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, the whole structure was put together by the Chickahominy Indian tribe. And that is where many of our citizens attended school. And it was one of those schools where you could only go but so far. So like, for example, my grandfather went to the 7th grade and then he went to work. My grandmother went to the 10th grade and then she had a bus ticket to Oklahoma to go to college to finish her studies. So education has always been very important for us. And so that's why, so we maintain that sense of closeness. And so we have a tribal center, which kind of acts as our hub. And although we don't have a reservation, we have lots of land that we have on our river. But many of our citizens do live within a 5-mile radius of our tribal center, which is very important to this TIPLIC grant because of the workshops and the things that we do that kind of bring us together, especially since the whole pandemic. So because of the Racial Integrity Act in 1924, it was very hard with documents and things like that. But we were able to achieve state recognition in 1983 from the Commonwealth of Virginia, which afforded us some opportunities of, you know, we're still here. We never went anywhere, although paper said otherwise. And then we gained federal recognition in January of 2018, and we are now federally recognized with Public Law 115, 121, which has afforded us all of these opportunities with these grants to kind of bring our people, keep our people together, and really take them to the next 7 generations. And so that's something that I'm very passionate about. These 2 women are passionate about. But our history is very unique, and it's something that we really try to incorporate when we get to Stormie slides in our workshops, that I work with the youth as well, that they know their history, they know where they come from, and they know that, you know, the generations that come after us, it's very important that we know where we come from. So thank you for your
time. So tying all that in, our kids have to know where we come from. Even the adults need to know where we come from because it helps us understand why we're here right now. When we wrote this grant, we pulled some information because again, we did not have anything from our tribe to say where we stood health-wise. We didn't know their needs from hearing from them. So what we did was we pulled a little bit of information from the Department of Health's website. And I don't know that they're very accurate, but I think that they're pretty dead on. So as you've heard us say, we are in the county of Charles City. The nearest or the surrounding counties are New Kent, Union City, and Loyita. So most of our citizens are in Charles City with a rate of 14.2% diabetes. The Virginia average is at 11.2, national average at 9.91. So however you want to look at it, we have a higher risk and a higher rate of diabetes. I have the first bullet here that's important to touch on. The mental health needs in our community are extremely high. And while we do not have people's information to know who's visiting the Indian Health Service mental health mobile units, what we do know is that those mobile units come out to our travel center that Jesse talked about. And at first we needed one mobile unit. And now we're up to needing 2 per month. And you know, it's good and bad. It means that number one, the good thing is people are utilizing this. But number two, it means that people are utilizing this and they really need the services that are being provided. Stormie's going to talk about how that ties in because we use the arts that we do within this program to help people wind down. It helps people get into a safe space. It helps their mental health, my mental health, when I'm in the room with others that are doing something that just helps us to not think about what's going on in the world. And also the physical activity limitations. We don't have gyms around us and we don't have the close access to get to them. And then there's the affordability piece. So that's another aspect of this. And then we also know that chronic lower respiratory disease is something that's really big in our community. A lot of the male citizens especially had to go out to work to different production factories, and for that reason they have a lot of residual effects from being in those types of environments that at the time there was nothing that OSHA was really monitoring for them, or they had jobs that really didn't know the impact, long-term impact of what the work they were doing would have on it. So next slide. So part of CDC requirements for this grant, this was the scariest part for me, but they wanted us to have internal and external partners. The internal partners, those were citizens, and we could choose who those would be based off a skill set that we thought they had, something that would benefit us and help us move this grant and the progress of the grant along. And it would also help us to have community members that were internalized in maybe the know of what others were going through. Maybe we didn't know that there's a need for a program on alcoholism. Maybe we didn't know there's a need for the mental health until our internal community members come and let us know. And then the external partners, the purpose of them is to help us achieve those goals. Maybe they have resources that we didn't know were available to us. Maybe they're resources that we can't necessarily afford, but our external partners have a relationship with them, and we're able to utilize their relationship to be able to help us along. But with both of these, it gives us a commitment to help develop along this program. We are committed to a 5-year cooperative agreement with the CDC, and each year we hopefully will be awarded $149,000, which helps us to achieve this goal. One thing I did fail to mention is, there is limited funding with this grant, and for that reason, we had to really be creative in the support that we had internally to support the grant and live along initiatives. So while Stormie and I are both paid employees under this grant, we actually utilized Jessie from another grant, which was mentioned in her introduction. So if you're familiar with the A&A Social and Economic Development Strategies grant, that is who Jessie's funded under. But they also have a commitment to the health and wellness of our community. So this ties in all of the goals that our different grants have. And another piece, if you ever go for this grant, CDC loves to hear that you are utilizing internal programs and that you're making partnerships to be able to make this a sustainable program. They want to know that after the 5 years that we have a plan in place to be able to continue to move forward. And that goes to the next bullet. You know, having these internal and external partners helps create a stronger program and project foundation. The sustainability is a huge piece. We don't want to start programs and run them for 5 years because we have funding, and at the end of the 5 years, we no longer can have the programs that people have now become accustomed to and see this success in job. So the other benefit of internal and external partners, they help to give us guidance. It also gives them purpose. I had one gentleman, when I asked him if he would join us and be on our internal partnership committee, he said, "Do you really think I can do the job?" And you know, that floored me because he didn't feel he was needed within the community, his voice. And so, of course, I need it. And he's one of our elders, and his guidance matters to us. And a lot of this is making sure that everyone understands their purpose, their need within your community, whether it's getting themselves healthy or helping to get someone else healthy. Next slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Stormie. So now you'll wake up because she has the good stuff. And I hope you enjoy what she has to perform. And also, I feel to mention we have one other person with us from our tribe. It's Ashton Montez. She's here. She's an LPN. She's one of our tribal nurses, as Stormie is as well. And their structure, Ashton really focuses on citizens that are below the age of 60. And she goes out and does different clinics within our travel center. But I didn't want to forget to call her out as well for being here today with us.
So just like Jessie and Loie were saying, how we incorporate our language that we're learning. I like to say Wangapo, hello. So I am the wellness aspect of this grant. We cover physical activity, mental health, and also nutrition to cover those three key components of our grant. So for our physical movement, our workshop is all of our traditional dances that started with a dance troupe way before I was born. And mental health aspect is going to be our arts workshops, and then of course our foods workshops for our nutrition. And I just kind of threw a bunch of photos up there. This is Loie's daughter at one of our arts workshops. That's my baby and my mom. And then dad is over there dancing, and that was some very delicious food. So just a little bit of statistics from our dance workshops. Like Loie said, we gave them pajamas because y'all know we love free stuff. We love food. So to get them out from start to finish, the three, sometimes the four of us sit and brainstorm on meetings. What are we going to do? What's going to bring them out? What have they been begging for? So we get together to come up monthly of a dance workshop. What dance are we going to do? What food are we going to make? And what art are we going to create? And then I will make a Microsoft form to get them interested in, let them know what we're doing for the month, sign up for our foods and our arts workshop. We do limit it to 20 people just because we need to buy the supplies, and our dance workshop is open to everyone. No limits on how many can come to that. But for our dance, intergenerational. Our youngest is 5 that comes and shows all of us up. And our oldest is in her late 70s, I want to believe, and she can show us up. And like we were discussing some of the traditional dances that our dance troupe did. Previous generations, they did it one way. And then the next generation of dance troops may have changed a step or two. And then my generation of dance troupe were like, what are y'all doing? We didn't do it this way. So we had one dance session a few months ago, and I have a video of it, where we had 4 different women doing the dance differently. And they're like, nope, y'all are doing it wrong. We're like, nope, y'all are doing it wrong. And so we had to go to the elders to get us corrected. With all y'all doing wrong. So it's just how the generations have changed and us going back to the original dance. And with our pedometers, like Loyita said, we're doing like a 30-minute dance because one, we have all kind of ailments, all kind of things going on health-wise. So we don't want to put strain on our elders. We don't want to tire them out. We want to run the kids and let them go to sleep. But on average, 30 minutes, and this was some statistics taken from one of our elders. She did 484 steps in one of her dances, and she came in saying, I'm not dancing, I'm gonna sit in this chair, and I'm gonna tell y'all what to do. And we're doing it wrong, so she has to get up and show us. And an average of 120 calories burned. But this is just a tracker of the Microsoft form that we've done. So this is our dance. So we have 38 participants that signed up. That's when we started. We were like, yes, we got them. We've had to cancel our past 2 months because of participation. So we're still in that struggle of we're doing it, but no one's showing up. But we're just working through it. I mean, we have our successes, we have our failures, and we're just with everything. And that's just their age range. Next slide, please. So along with me being a nurse, being an elder care coordinator for the tribe, I'm also the arts workshop under TIPWIC, the wellness coordinator under TIPWIC. I work under the Title VI grant for the tribe. I think I do. So very busy, very busy. So some of our highlights for our arts workshop, which we focus on mental health. So we go through, and me and Jesse and Lo will put a PowerPoint together that runs throughout our workshop, gives them a tribal history, the history of the art that we're doing and why it's important to the Chickahominy, how we originally did it, and then like just some soft music playing. So our top attended workshops were, of course, the earrings. We did a deer antler dream catcher, women's traditional shawl, and then just recently last month we did a beaded turtle brooch, which the turtle is a symbol of our tribe's longevity. So up here we have Jess and her son making an antler. That was a struggle. And then in the middle we had a Little Miss Princess making a hair pipe necklace, which the kids absolutely loved. I don't think we loved it as much because there was millions of beads. Then we had a moccasin making workshop. Those are my mom's. Down at the bottom we had a medicine pouch, and then that was another hair pipe necklace. The kids absolutely love it. They absolutely love getting involved with the arts. They love getting involved with the dances. For one of our traditional dance workshops, we actually had a competition between the adults and the kids to see one who was paying attention to the original steps of the dance and one who was going to actually do it. The kids was that. Next slide, please. So our foods workshops is probably our most attended. They're always at full capacity. Like I said, we like to eat, and like Lovey said, food brings community together. We are trying to make that food more healthier. Ashton is our tribal nurse. She teaches our diabetes class, and we always say, we're not going to change you overnight. We're not taking all of your food away from you. We're going to do baby steps to get you to incorporate more healthier aspects of your eating. So we have a community garden, which grows our vegetables that were traditional to the Chickahominy people on the East Coast, like our squashes, our corns, our berries. And then with our workshops, what we don't have, we don't throw away because we are going to use everything. So all of our scraps from our food goes into our community garden compost, so we can incorporate that into our garden. So just a few pictures of some of our attendees. We've done cabbage lasagna, we've done wild turkey soup, wild turkey and wild rice and turkey soup, okay. We did blackberry fritters, we've done venison stew, here recently, green onion soup. And here recently, last month, this month, and next month, we are doing a 3-part canning series to get prepared for the winter. So last month we did our fruit, so we did our baked candy and berries. This month we're doing vegetables, and we're gonna eat. Still on that part, but so it's foods that we would have eaten prior, but switching it up. So our cabbage lasagna instead of ground beef, we did ground turkey. And they're all looking at me like, why are we eating this healthy stuff? I said, I am doing this with you. I'm gonna eat this with you when we're gonna prepare. And our wild rice and turkey soup has been the most recreated dish throughout our community. They're still talking about it. We did that last winter, and they're still talking. I mean, it's super great.
And just to interject, I forgot to mention this, but it also gives our citizens the opportunity to try new foods on our dime. So a lot of times, me included, I did not want to try ground turkey because I did not think I would like it. So this is their opportunity to try these things without wasting their money. And you know, we're happy to feed them, let them try it, and teach them a sample that at the workshop.
And so, as you can tell, this is that one is one of our travel citizens who is I'm gonna call him a chef. He won't call himself a chef, but he's a chef. And he'll come at those that we go buy in all the ingredients, and we set everything up. He demonstrates and cooks it for us right then, tells us what's going in, how to cook it, how to prepare it. Then everyone at the workshop, we get to eat it. So we all sit down and eat, and it's a sample size. We're not feeding them dinner. And then we turn into Chickahominy Home Chef, and we package everything that they need to go home and recreate it for a serving for people. So with the recipe, with nutrition facts and everything. So if they like it, they take it home, recreate it. So it's 2 meals on us, and then they can continue to buy it.
Even some of the meat is harvested by Chickahominy hunters.
Yes.
And you said that service class was for 4 people?
For 4. And so this is just one of our advanced workshops, which I failed to mention is led by tribal councilman, aka my dad. And so this is my kids' nephew.
This is a fun workshop where we essentially were arguing with the elders, you know, from
so you have this generation, which is mine, doing it one way. There's another generation that told us we were doing it wrong, and then that lady right there is the one that shut us all down. So hopefully,
you want to play?
yes. Yes.
Just walk it if you want.
So this dance, which I
So it was really interesting to kind of talk about the music. This is a really, really fun workshop. There are steps about where our cultures go in workshop to have history that's have a PowerPoint with this what should we do, steps. First, just a little segue. And so you can bring it to the experience. A lot of shots flowing is part of the route to a better partnership.
Always include that when they say, oh, we're gonna do the rap dance. Oh, well, Preston and Stormie can do that. Really high pace. And I'm women's fancy, and that rabbit dance is no joke. Because my father is very competitive, and then he's got my two kids and my nephew, and they're sitting there like, you gonna do it, Mom? I'm like, you wanna do it? Like, come on, you can learn too. So it's just, we take our traditional dances, we're serious about them at the beginning, and we teach them the steps, teach them, you know, why we do it, where it came from, who taught us originally how to do it. And by the end, we're laughing and giggling, like, who needs oxygen? How many calories did you burn? So we try to keep the seriousness of all of their stuff, but make it fun so people will come and want to be engaged, want to learn, and want to get more healthier.
But this serves twofold because now it forces us, because of the grant, you know, reporting and things like that. So one, we're recording the dance. Two, we're documenting the history of it. Three, we're like basically taking oral interviews of our elders, and now it's going all into our digital archive. So, you know, it's kind of going across the board with those partnerships and, you know, the role that I play with program management compliance. That's another aspect that we're working on is how do we successfully digitally archive all of our history. So it works well when we partner together.
Yes. And at the end of each of our workshops, because, you know, we do have an obligation, not to have fun, but we have an obligation to CDC to report back some starting data and then some ending data. And so we give to our participants an evaluation on us and on what they've done during that workshop. And it helps us to get feedback. And we have, if you're not committed to evolve, then you might not want this project. We listen to their feedback. They tell us what they want, what they did not like, what they would like to see, what worked for them. Did it help them mentally? You know, were they too active? Did they not like the presenter? Did they not like the instructor? They're going to tell us all of that information. But we also gather all the key points that CDC wants to know too. Did this inspire them to be more culturally connected? Did this help them to be more socially connected? I remember the one workshop in particular that was our very first one where we needed earrings. And we had no idea it was going to transform into what it did, but it inspired so many women, because that's all who attended, but so many women to start beading. And those women have reported back how much it has really helped them mentally. And it's taken them into their own homes, where maybe that home was a place for them that reminded them of stressors, of things they had to do, bills they had to pay. Well, now it reminds them of a space, a table they can go to and bead and get into a whole different mental zone that helps them to relax. They then took that, they've gathered together, they call themselves the Chickahominy Artisans. You will see them around at powwows now. And they bead earrings, and they've used it as a form of economic development for themselves.
That's fantastic.
So
And I had two that took my class, they're now beading.
I was about to say, I took the class, I was not a beater previously, I've danced at powwows all my life. Had no desire to bead, I thought it would be stressful. It is complete opposite, I love it, I now sell earrings, but strictly do it, I mean, it's so relaxing, I would have never learned if it wasn't for Stormie. And, you know, the Tippwick team putting it on. My Aunt Lo, she also took the class along with her being the head of it as well. But so, and we all like to talk about it. We brought our bead stuff with us to bead together. It's just also like really weaving together the community aspect of it too. I think that was another great part of it, was just talking and laughing and making fun of each other, you know, trying to learn the same thing. So it's been wonderful.
we also did a fun health fair in April. And the purpose of that was to, again, encourage people to get into a different environment. We had a trail mix bar where they could create their own trail mix. We had all the ingredients out. Had face painting. We had different vendors there that would help some of our partner vendors. We had a bounce house, a sensory bin that
I was outside.
yes,
The event
in the heat.
in the heat, helping, we were planting seeds, so I'm sure they didn't remember that, because I was outdoors.
We had
Garden workshops.
Yeah.
Outdoors.
Right, exactly. They had a garden workshop, but our sensory bin was called the Three Sisters Sensory Bin. So we had corn, we used popcorn bags dumped unpopped corn in there. We had different colored beans in another bin, and then we had rice. And it was like the cheapest item that we had at the whole event, and it was the most popular by children and by Stormie. So that worked out.
It's so, when you said the sensory thing, they just go in and touch it and feel it and just.
So I actually, because I was outside with Jesse as well, so all three of the bins, and then we put like beach buckets and shovels, just little toys, and I actually caught myself just sitting there going like this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so relaxing. I guess nowadays with everything that's going on and how stimulated everyone is, you just need to be fidgeting. And so I was just
A lot of parents came back later and they're still talking about what did you do with that? How can we recreate this at home? So that could be something moving forward for us with the kids, because one thing we didn't mention with the arts workshop, a lot of the crafts that we've been working on are geared more towards the adults, but you know, in the evenings, that's when our workshops are typically held. It's a lot of the moms and they're bringing their kids. Like we bring our kids, you know, we're technically working, but we're taking care of each other's kids. So we've started incorporating a kids version of a craft during the same time with the adults. So we get to lead that, and they're just coming out in droves to the point where in our last travel meeting, I was like, can we have the cutoff? You know, it's a lot of children.
We had 40 children.
40.
Nice.
So you do so it's an adult one, and then you have a child supplement.
Yeah.
Do you have, so you say you host
The
that
kids.
child, okay.
40.
All at the same
Oh,
time.
Well, you know, full disclosure, I've been in the classroom. I'm a teacher. So it's fine.
we're in like this,
We're in our travel
our travel center, so we're in this room and we literally split it in half. The kids are back here and the adults are up here. And the workshop with the 40 kids, we had maybe 4 adults that came.
Yeah.
And it was
But I call
actually,
people to work.
that was our shawl workshop, and so they were trying to furnish their shawl, and they're like, this is not peaceful. This is not
Give it to the kid, yeah.
I was like, it's okay, it's more of them than you. This is not very peaceful. This is not helping my mental health. And so it's funny, man.
But the kids love
The
it,
kids
you know,
love it.
they want to come. You know, even my son, who is too cool for school sometimes, I say, oh, I'm going to the travel center at a workshop. He's like, what do I get to do today? You know, they're excited about the next craft.
So all of this is to, really get people healthier without them knowing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And if you can find a way to mask that, like we are trying to do as Stormie said, we meet every month to see what we're gonna do. You can find a way to mask that and make getting healthy fun, then people will really enjoy what you're doing here. We also had an artisan workshop, and we used that as a way to showcase all of the different workshops that we've done over the past year. So we had our chef that Stormie mentioned. He and his team of citizens recreated all of the meals, and we offered samples during this exhibition. We had a presentation playing of all the dances and pictures that we've done over the past year. And then we had a showcase of all of the arts. Stormie touched just a little bit when she said there was this one piece that was very difficult to make. But we had our craft workshop making a dream catcher, not traditional, but made out of antlers, deer antlers. And so they took the deer antlers, you could either use a pair that matched, or you could, blend or switch up. And we tied them together with sinew, and then we weaved in the dream catcher. It made that. So it was difficult. It was not beginner level at all, like I thought it was. But it was fun to do.
But yeah, at the artisan exhibition, we had the different representations of the crafts, and we had them on display like a showcase, and we had all the citizens' names, like who made them. So they really had that sense of ownership and pride as people. And it was funny to see citizens like walk by and say, such and such made that. Like, yes, they made that from the workshop that you should come to.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like Tipwick, as we call it, is becoming a household name with these workshops. Come on, that. We joke around saying how we're going to give perfect attendance awards because we have some of the same individuals come to all of them, and they take great pride in what they've learned and things like that, or how they've incorporated. Oh, I've been using ground turkey and X, Y, and Z now because of this.
Yes. And also those are things that we report back to CDC. They want to know, how often people are actually using the techniques that we are putting out there. So I like to showcase Jessie and Stormie because, again, I do all the boring stuff, the behind the scenes. But I really believe in highlighting people and their skill sets. If you haven't noticed, Jessie in her past life was a 5th grade teacher. So she has a way of really getting out the message as far as the history of our dances and just getting the information to the citizens in a form that they can understand and really absorb, and that's really important to do that. So I think that's all we have. Next slide. Yep. And thank you, which means thank you. In our honor. So
yes, any questions for Jessica? And
I have a question. And so we live in a remote area. We have inclement weather conditions often. And so how have you addressed it? Do you provide transportation? Do you have those same issues also? Or
we do, and I don't know to what extent you're speaking of, but for instance, we had a really bad storm 2 months ago. And so we just put out notice that due to the bad weather, we're going to cancel the workshop because their safety comes first. So it's understood by CDC. They're very lax when it comes to, us. They know we're doing our best to treat people. So they're not going to continue in any way for not being able to accomplish something.
But we've had elders say it's easier now in the summer months, but when the time changes and it gets dark, we have a lot of elders who don't prefer to drive at night. Yeah. So that is a long-term goal of mine. I'm always saying, can we please just get more vehicles in our fleet?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So we can provide